All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lamar Gafford,
And I'm Robert Brown.
and we're back again, once again, with the Gafford and Brown Show, episode number 19. Our good question for everybody, and well, us included: how are your brackets doing today? If you're like ours, your brackets are pretty much shot.
Shot to shot. Yeah, like old yellow taking our back shot.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's just here's the crazy thing about this. Everybody knows from the Final Four that I had Louisville winning the whole thing, and that thing is still, you know, holding on to it. But I had Miami in the national championship game. They got taken out yesterday. Had Georgetown and New Mexico making it to the Final Four. Both lost in the first round. Pretty much like everybody else right now, it's like the brackets are just dead, like dying a slow death.
Do we? This is one question I have for our listeners out there. Does anyone still have their original Final Four team still in the hunt? Let us know if you have that going because I only have two teams left. Lamar has one, so we want to know: do you guys have any Final Four teams left in your bracket?
And that's definitely what I'm going to put on there as at the Twitter account. Once again, that's a very good way to interact to us. Just send us a tweet back. Also send a comment on the comment box. Call in as well. But I'll also mention one of the things about one of the teams that actually lost and the team that actually put them out. And the darlings of the whole tournament has been Florida Gulf Coast. They have been the darlings of the whole thing. They're the first 15 seed to make it to the Sweet 16, and they did it very impressively. They defeated Georgetown in the first round by 10 points, and they also beat San Diego State by 10 points, and now they have a good game against the Florida Gators to determine who gets to go to the Elite Eight. But my first question for you is, though, Rob, what you seen the Florida Gulf Coast team? Um, what is your impression and what is your thoughts about that?
Well, it's always great to see the little guys go on. I mean, even from, well, really to me, 2006 was the George Mason team that shocked the world and, put them on the map. And then, later on you start having your VCUs and your Belmonts and Bucknells. And now we have Florida Gulf Coast, a young school, like one of the youngest universities in the tournament,
Mm-hmm.
and they're making history. Now, can they beat Florida? Possibly. It's a game I won't bet money on, but I'm not, I'm not knocking them beating Florida. It's possible.
And that's the same thing too. And I've been listening to everybody, and it just really seems like I don't know if the run is going to continue here or not. It's been so exciting to see them do this, and I think right now they actually had a pep rally. They had a pep rally like a couple of days ago where they were just chatting to where like the student body was like saying F the Gators and stuff like that. So they're really into it right now, and they're pretty much riding the wave of emotions and all that. Now, do I think they're going to win this game? Probably not. But do I want to see this run continue? Just to see the underdog might get a chance to do something? Absolutely. It continues to be a great thing. Here's some facts about Florida Gulf Coast that not too many people might know about it. The university was started up in 1991. I was born in 1987,
So was I.
and we are 4 years older than the school. Not the basketball program, but the school. I think the basketball program began in 2002. I think they became D1 in '07, and I think they actually were eligible to get into the tournament in 2011, last year. So just to see them make that big of a stride right now is just like impressive, just very impressive though.
I'm very impressed. I mean, the Georgetown losses will hurt a lot of brackets.
Hmm.
And then, for the momentum to keep going, I only think people from Florida Gulf Coast had them going this far.
Hmm.
but it's impressive nevertheless. And I hope it, I hope it gets them, some games next year. A couple games with TV, maybe. Get them some. This is gonna get more recruits, of course.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, we're gonna be seeing a lot of them.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's just been amazing to see how did they get there, because I saw a little bit of their conference tournament final against the Mercer, I think, and they're from the Atlantic Sun, and we're talking about a conference that doesn't have like a neutral site, so they actually had to go on the road to win a game, and well, next thing you know, they're here, and again, it's just been very impressive to see them do it. Wish for the best here against them, and against Florida as well, which they have actually been turning a whole lot of heads as well.
Yeah, Florida has definitely hit their stride this tournament. This is a team that had an ugly intro into the tournament. I mean, losing to Ole Miss in that fashion. I got people thinking that, hey, maybe Northwestern State can beat these guys. Cruise past Northwestern State. They're putting up a ton of points. They look like, the team that we saw earlier in the season.
Right.
And a lot of people had this team, even after the Ole Miss loss, still favorites to go to the Final Four and win the title. So, right now they're looking like their team. But Marquette, on the other hand, has surprised a lot of people. This is a team that me and you both had Davidson beating them first round.
Yes.
So, they look to hit their stride. They're the high profile underdog. Granted, it's Marquette University.
Right.
It's a school that with a rich tradition in the tournament. But this year, not many people have them going far, so they have that chip on their shoulder.
Oh yeah, and definitely, and the way that they've actually survived through the first two rounds, like by winning close games against the first one was against Davidson, actually by 1 point, where a lot of people were thinking that they were actually going to be right on that prediction, and then beating Butler by 2 points, and it's just the way of survival. But the impressive thing here was they defeated Miami 71-61, and that was
a lot of people's sweetheart team.
A lot of people's, and to see that they're now making it to the Elite Eight. And they're going to play against another team where a lot of people did not have too many high hopes for, Syracuse. That is actually going to be the interesting thing there, because I didn't really have Syracuse beating Indiana.
I didn't have Syracuse beating Indiana. I didn't think Syracuse would get this far, actually. And to see them here now, I'm pretty impressed.
So that's also going to be one thing too. In the other side, in the West, we're actually having an Elite Eight matchup between Wichita State and Ohio State. And that's actually going to be a pretty decent one here, because we all know Wichita State, Missouri Valley Conference, has had its pretty good share of good, decent teams, such as Creighton, Illinois State a couple of years, Northern Iowa and all them. So they're really nothing to sneeze at. Now to get a chance to play against Ohio State, who do you think is going to get the right to make it to the Final Four in that bracket?
I'm gonna give it to Ohio State. That's my team. I had going to the Final Four out that region, and I think it's going to happen still, because you look at the way they've been playing. They've been playing tremendous basketball. Alan Kraft leading their team. Just a lot of big shots being made. They've hit their stride, and I have them going. I still believe they're going to the Final Four, and that's the team I originally picked to go to the Final Four.
I had to give them. I have to say the same thing too, because at first we were saying that we didn't know who was going to really make it out of the West bracket. We looked at Gonzaga. We said that they were going to be the weak number 1 teams in there, and they really did show that a little bit.
In the first game against Southern.
I mean, Southern almost beat them.
Right, and Pablo Torres, the prophet.
Yes.
Not only did he get a lot of points in the episode, he also got offered by Southern University. This is his choice. He can come, throw the first pitch at a baseball game, or he has the selection of doing a coin toss at a football game.
I have to let him do that. Let him do that. I hope if it's the toss, I hope it's the classic. I really hope it's the classic.
I think that might be what they're going for. It might be at the classic.
It's gotta be. Because just think about it. Like that. That ought to be like just the wow moment right there.
Right.
But Also talking about Gonzaga too, them losing to Wichita State. I mean, they really proved to everybody right there that they were deserving, of course, of a number one, but they were kind of like the weak number one, where not too many people really had them going further in there. And to see right now that Ohio State is actually surviving in that bracket right there is pretty decent too in their own right as well. The next bracket that we're also going to talk about too is we also have a matchup in the South between Kansas and Michigan.
High profile game right there. Probably the most high profile game we have left in the bracket, next to Michigan State versus Duke.
Oh yes.
And I think I'm gonna have to get us one to Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
I like Michigan's backcourt, but I think Kansas has the depth, and I think they're gonna get the win over them.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say Kansas too. Michigan, to me, that they have been a decent team this year, and they've actually been at the top of the top 10 for most of the year. But there have been some times where they have been a little bit inconsistent. They lost to Penn State. They've won some tough games, but then they've also lost some tough games. And it's crazy, because this game here, these two teams have really lost to the doormats of their conferences here. Kansas to TCU, Michigan to Penn State, and yet they're right here to playing against each other. So I gotta go ahead and say Kansas is probably gonna go ahead and win this game, take that away. And also the game that you just mentioned too, Michigan State and Duke in the Midwest. Good game, two great coaches. Mike Krzyzewski of Duke, Tom Izzo of Michigan State. The rich tradition of both of these programs. Who's going to go on and make it to the Elite Eight in that one?
That's a hard one, and I like Duke's chances, but at the same time, you can't underestimate Michigan State. Izzo done a great job with this team of guys. They're a little bit deeper than Duke, and I think that might play a factor. But I like Duke's scoring ability. I like Kelly. I like Seth. I think I'm going to give the edge to Duke in this one, but a close game nevertheless. And I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan State did win.
And the same thing. I'm probably going to go ahead and say Michigan State for my bracket's sake. But this is a one right here where, it's going to be close. You can't go wrong either way, because both of these teams are going to bring it as well. Michigan State, they normally always have themselves a pretty, a team laden with experience, and that's always going to be one of those things too that to look for as well. And Duke really does look, though, they look like they've really bounced back from their loss last year. And like you said, Ryan Kelly, with him in the lineup too, he really changes that whole landscape of that whole team too. So you really can go no way. I'm gonna go with Michigan State just to go for a little banner here about that one. But if Duke wins, you can't really say that they didn't deserve it or anything else like that too.
Yeah, because they've had a season in which where a lot of people think if Kelly would have been healthy and played the rest of those games, they would have finished They would have gotten number one.
Oh
seed.
yes, definitely.
So yeah, it's going to be a great game. I look for a lot of back and forth. I wouldn't be shocked if the game was in the I'm gonna say the 60s, high 60s,
60s or 70s,
yeah,
something
60s,
like that.
70s,
Yeah. And the other game that's in the Midwest, Louisville is playing against Oregon, which Oregon, we said a lot of people have said that they did not deserve a 12 seed. Wow, they have really impressed everybody right now.
Won the Pac-12, had a solid regular season, and they just got the ultimate slap in the face by getting that 12, and they've shown that they're kind of pissed off about it.
Oh yes, definitely, and definitely so, because they have been impressive. They've won their games by double digits. Now they get a chance to play against Louisville, who is the overall number one seed. And Louisville has shown itself that they have been dominant so far, albeit beating North Carolina A&T and Colorado State. Do you give Oregon a chance to probably beat Louisville in this one?
I can't go against Louisville right now because Louisville is a team that I had going to the Final Four, so I got to stick with that. And I think Louisville has a little bit too much firepower.
That's agreed on that one too. I think this is the time where Oregon's run is going to end, and they've made a great run, and they've really shown themselves nicely. But Louisville has been amazing this year, and like I said, I had them predicted to win the national championship, and they've really shown that so far. You have Peyton Siva, with him being there. And you also got Rick Pitino, and you can never count that out with him coaching and all this stuff. It's pretty much going to be a battle of wits in that one if Oregon looks to get the upset, but I think it's not going to be likely in this one. Now, another thing that we really wanted to talk about in this tournament, too, was that one player that's not in there anymore but has really caught everybody's eye has been Marshall Henderson of Ole Miss. That guy... If you have not seen Marshall Henderson of Ole Miss,
who became to me his coming out party, well for me at least, was that SEC championship game in Florida.
Yes,
that was his coming out party. The tournament was like, okay, this is what I can do. And this is a guy who had a hard road to get where he's at.
Yes,
this is he wasn't a blue chipper necessarily. This guy who worked hard at getting to where he's at now, and I'm pretty sure he's coming out now.
Oh yes, he really is now. Because and he's pretty outspoken as well.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Because I remember seeing something on Twitter, which made me say this guy's gonna be a must follow right now, and I followed him right then and there at that point. Because this guy is really outspoken. This is a guy that during the season he taunted with some Auburn fans, popped his jersey, they flipped him off, and then he just walked off the court. Somebody at an Ole Miss game against Kentucky, somebody threw ice on the floor. He threw it right back at him.
Wow.
And then after the LaSalle game, when LaSalle beat Ole Miss 76-74, somebody must have said something to him, and he flipped them off. And which is kind of crazy though too, because you like his antics, but then again, don't you think that he might need to tone it down a little bit somewhere too?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, because that might. If he were to come out, that might hurt his draft stock a little bit, you know, or something like that. But I think he has every right to feel that way because, like I said, this is a guy who worked so hard to get where he's at and didn't have much handed to him. You know, this guy is, junior college type of guy.
Right.
Worked his way to a program, and, now he's, having this coming out party. And, it's something that, he might have to tone down a little bit if he's interested in going to the draft this year. But it's entertaining, nevertheless.
Right. It really is. And I cannot go against you on that one too, because this is a guy who's had a long road. Like you said, he was in the junior college. I think he started off actually in Utah, and I think he got in trouble there. There was one game where he was playing against BYU. He got into a fight with somebody, threw a punch. I think he transferred from Utah, went to Texas Tech, did not play a game there. Then I think he went to some junior college. Then I think now he's at Ole Miss. And he said that he's going to come back next year. And, he's going to be one of those guys where a lot of people, he's going to get some negative backlash. And he enjoys being the bad guy. He enjoys playing the bad guy role in the SEC. Many SEC fans hate him. Many SEC fans hate him. But yet, I believe the antics are good. The antics are pretty good, too, because, you don't need boring guys sometimes. You don't need boring people sometimes, and I think he makes it exciting,
Yeah, so. I mean, looking at his past, you just see a lot of things that, granted, a lot of people don't like. Jamel Hill had a piece written the other day about how his antics aren't good for college basketball and all this, but the guys come from the bottom. He's had some trouble. When it comes to the sportsmanship, it's not good, but it's entertaining nevertheless. So,
definitely.
Hey, and his talent is backing it up. So the guy, he's probably coming out. I think he's coming out.
Right. I say the one thing he really needs to improve on is shot selection.
Yeah, he has that J.R. Smith shoot first. I don't care. I'm half court mentality.
LeBron even tweeted during the Ole Miss Wisconsin game. He said that this guy had the greenest light in basketball history, which I might can even believe in that right then and there. Even though you might have some people that even have greener lights, this guy he started off that game 1 for 11. So that's just the one thing that he really needs to improve upon. Now another thing that outside of this, which we were talking about the tournament here, now we got a lot of people, a lot of speculation about who's going to get which job. Ben Howland is gone now from UCLA. You also have Tubby Smith gone from Minnesota. 3 names, though, where many people were thinking, are they going to leave and all? Brad Stevens of Butler.
Who said he was going to stay?
Who said he was going to stay at Butler. VCU was Shaka Smart, who said he was going to stay. I think there was who was the third name that I'm trying to think of?
Northern Iowa coach got a huge extension,
Mm-hmm.
so he's not going anywhere.
Right.
But Shaka Smart is a guy who's been getting a lot of big offers from teams since that run he had with VCU a couple years ago. But I think someone's going to jump to the UCLA gig.
Yes.
It's too attractive not to.
Yes, they got to. They really have to, because it once again it is a prestigious program, and a very good coach needs to be there that is very committed. And unfortunately, with Howland here, we had been on the show once before talking about this with Evan Barnes. The sad thing was, it probably was his time to go because he didn't get a chance to keep a lot of players too. So that's one of those things too. And it just seemed like that the success of making it to those Final Fours, it kind of reared off a little bit after 2008, I think. So that's one of those things too. Now I also think though that in Minnesota, Tubby Smith shouldn't have been fired. I really think that he shouldn't have been fired.
It's something that I remember we had a good friend of one of our favorite followers, Midwest Boy, on the show, and he was like, it's something that the writing's kind of on the wall,
right?
And so Tubby's he's a legendary coach. I think. Do you think at this point he's going to retire?
That's an interesting question. If he feels like, if he does not want to go, if he does not, let's say if UCLA doesn't call him here, I think he might. But let's say maybe another high-profile program decides to go after him. Will he go? That's going to be another thing too. And and I just remember the third coach name, Passner over there in Memphis. He said that he's staying at Memphis. So those 3 young guys are actually deciding to stay with their respective programs. But what I was about to say too about is Tubby Smith. Could you see UCLA probably trying to get him?
I'm gonna say no to that, just because I think he's. His record speaks for itself, but I think they might be trying to go younger.
Mm-hmm.
I think they want a Shaka Smart, Butler's head coach. Just someone a little bit younger, and that they can groom, and he can have his chance at the program and do what needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Do you rule it out? Do you see it happening possibly, or?
I really think, to be honest with you, I probably can't see him as that. I think that I say the same thing. They would want somebody younger, who's probably more energetic, who's also willing to embrace the rich tradition of the program that UCLA can bring. I mean, once again, this is UCLA we're talking about, and they expect to compete for national championships every single year, given the lineage of what John Wooden had brought this school, or brought the school to be. So that's one of the things that they really gotta look at and all that too. So I can't see him going there. He would be a decent fit there because this is a well-known coach, but they probably would go younger.
Right. And I think that's the best bet to go because Tubby's. I mean, he's a guy that is used to kind of getting his way and having his way with the program.
Mm-hmm.
And this is you like you said UCLA. We talk about this golden tradition, and I think they want someone younger that they can groom and can start a new legacy. Start over.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Shaka Smart might be in the front runner right now. I mean, granted he stayed loyal to VCU this whole time, but you never know with college sports. You never know.
That's true. He did sign that extension, so
True,
you never know.
true.
You never know. You may never know. If the right job, and I'm not saying even right now, but if the right job probably came about, like let's say even next year, let's say, give a program that's probably struggling right now. If they said, if they give him the contract, then the question would be, would he turn that down? How many jobs do I get a chance to turn down just so I can leave? Now, who knows? He might be like Mark Few, stay at Gonzaga, build him up as a program. Next thing you know, instant success. So that's all going to be interesting right there. And that's all going to be a thing to really look at as far as the season continues to progress and stuff. Looking also at the women's bracket, since we're staying into the college basketball thing, it seems like that bracket is pretty much business as usual. You got your usual suspects, Brittany Griner and Baylor, which she had an amazing game, I think, the other day, where I think she had like over 30 points, and the stat line was just amazing. Did you get a chance to see that one?
I missed it. I missed much of the tournament on that, but it's something that I'm definitely going to start watching. And who you have coming out? Have you made a bracket yet?
I did not make a bracket for this one. I thought about making one actually, but I did not make it for one. I think Baylor's going to be the dominant team, but I really want to see Notre Dame win. Because for Skylar Diggins, because seeing her making it to the national championship game 2 years in a row and come so agonizingly close, I believe the third time is going to be a charm, and I think that she is able and willing to win it this time around. So who knows what could happen about that? So anything could happen there on that in that regard too. So who knows? Well, all right, we're going to go ahead and take ourselves our first 30-second break. We'll go ahead and talk about the NBA a little bit. We're going to talk about the Miami Heat streak. It's over. It's unbelievable. But we're going to go ahead and do that right quick. This is the Gafford and Brown Show. We're right back on the air with the Gafford and Brown Show. And we just got done talking about the college basketball. Let's shift our focus a little bit to the NBA, to the boys here. Miami Heat, 27-game winning streak was snapped by the Chicago Bulls on Wednesday in a pretty interesting game here, going back and forth. It felt like a playoff game, actually, between the two teams. As we were on the break, you said that Chicago really made a statement in that game. How much of a statement you think they made for the playoffs, and then what do you think, that was it a big win for Chicago or probably a bigger loss for Miami?
Big win for Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Miami won 27 games in a row, so first off,
right.
They're the number one seed,
yes.
hands down.
Mm-hmm.
This is no big deal for Miami. I mean, they made history as well. Granted, it's not, it didn't beat the record, but they have the number 2 spot.
Right.
So, Miami, by no means, to me, took a real loss other than the win column.
Mm-hmm.
But, granted, they're going to do well. Chicago needed this.
Mm-hmm.
This gave Chicago all the morale in the world.
Mm-hmm.
They did this without Noah,
mm-hmm.
without Rose. This is a team that's going to the playoffs with a lot of questions on, can we get out the first round?
Mm-hmm.
Derek's now coming back. We're the underdogs. So they came to this game with nothing to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Played hard, played intense. A lot of people are, questioning,
mm-hmm.
they played too hard, but, that's what happens, and we have two teams that really don't like each other.
Yes. And we've known ever since the formation of the Big Three, when Wade, LeBron, and Bosh came together. Chicago really did not like them, and this is one of the things here that we already know. Joakim Noah does not like LeBron at all, and this is even before he came to Miami. Still remember that Eastern Conference Finals where he said that they're Hollywood as hell and all them and all that. That was a good game though, really. Chicago came out on fire, pretty much. It was a seesaw battle, but they went ahead and took it out at the end. Nate Robinson is just one of those guys too that really showed a lot of heart in that game, and he really did a pretty nice job there too. Like you said though about Miami, it really doesn't hurt them too much. They got what they're gonna get. They're gonna get. I mean, they already won. They already got themselves a playoff spot. They already won their division, and I would really think they're pretty much gonna get the number one seed in the East because they're sitting at 11 games comfortably here, and the next win that they get is pretty much going to be, it's gonna be there. It's gonna be theirs. So that's another thing there. Dissecting the streak, though, here. 27 games. It's just amazing to see how they've done that.
It is. And one of the reasons why, to me, the streak was always, on the line, because so many teams play hard against them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, go back to that Boston Celtics game. Go back to that Knicks game on Sunday on national TV, where the Knicks had that 20-point lead,
right,
20-plus point lead, and, halftime, after halftime it crumbled.
Mm-hmm.
Or that Boston Celtics game where Jeff Green went off for 43 points.
Mm-hmm.
Boston looked like, world beaters, and it ended with a Heat win.
Yes.
The Cavaliers game.
Yes.
It's just examples that this streak was, it was something special. At the same time, it made a lot of teams play harder.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a feeling they would be snapped soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be Chicago? No.
Right.
I thought maybe the Spurs would get it.
Yes.
But, now that it's over, I think Miami, can go back to, I think they're playing.
Oh, yeah.
I think right now, it's like, okay, it's over with the streak. We can rest some guys maybe, start worrying about, I think they were worried about the postseason anyway. Let's think about the streak. The beautiful thing, I think the team really didn't care about it.
Oh, no.
I think it was business as usual.
Yes.
Every game.
Mm-hmm. Because if you looked at the press conferences and see how they did, I mean, they're just amazing that they could just turn it on just like that, like at the flip of a switch. But you can see the press conferences. They were really just like loose, like you see LeBron, you see the photo bombs that they always do. They even had the chance to make the I think that was when they did the Harlem Shake thing. You had Dwayne Wade doing an interview with LeBron right there. It's just amazing that the pressure really does not affect these guys, and that's another thing right there that you can say about the Heat, because ever since the formation of them, they've really had it as like. They hadn't done it as an arrogant way, of course, but they've just really have just been like, well, you know what? We don't have to really be that intense about it. We're just going to go ahead at it in just a pretty decent way here,
Yeah. Now, I want to ask you this. Do you think LeBron's criticism of the fouls he took in that game, do you think they're warranted?
No, I really don't think so. Because I've seen two of the fouls that he saw that were there. They look like playoff fouls. I mean, to be honest with you, like if this was the 80s and 90s, of course nobody would have called them. But since now we're in the way of the NBA right now, where if you just look at somebody the wrong way, you get a foul. Now I could just see that. Now maybe the tackle that Heinrich did on him. That was kind of a little bit of a different thing because he could have been landed awkwardly in the wrong thing. But there was another thing where I think he got I don't know if it was a flagrant or a tech or not for fighting against Carlos Boozer on a screen. Now I do not think that should have been warranted as that, because really I think it just was that. What do you think?
I think LeBron had a diva moment. I
Mhm.
think, the fouls, they were good playoff fouls, good, hard, aggressive fouls.
Mhm.
Nothing too aggressive. Nothing that would warrant a flagrant.
Mhm.
I think he just, got under his skin and, he had a moment. I mean,
Right.
LeBron's the face of the league, so, sometimes he feels, I guess, he should get certain calls or,
Mhm.
he shouldn't take certain punishment. But let's look at it. That's how you have to stop LeBron
Oh
James.
yes.
That's the
Yes.
only way you can stop LeBron James.
I mean, what else are you gonna do when you see a 6'8", 270-pound guy running at you at full steam? I mean, you're either gonna get out the way, or you're just gonna probably try to take him down some type of way here. And you're not gonna try to hurt him, of course not. But you're going to just say, look, we're not gonna give you no easy layups. This is not gonna be the This is not gonna be the dunk contest.
Right.
This is not gonna be the dunk show. I mean, you're gonna have to work for these points. I'm gonna send you to the line. The Bulls, again, they have that aggressive attitude. This is everything about this team really, really says defense about them. I mean, they're a decent offensive team, of course. They can score points when they need to, but defensively, they are one of the better teams in the league. So they're gonna grind a lot of times, and that's the way that Tom Thibodeau has been. Is the way that he was even when he was with Boston. So that was another thing. And you want to know another interesting fact about this too, about that Heat streak. Um, since the streak, I think at the time that the streak ended against Chicago, the Heat won 27 in a row. Of course, there were 10 teams that were in the NBA that have yet to win 27 games this season. That have won 27 games or under.
The Bobcats, the Cavaliers.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Toronto.
That's 3.
Sacramento.
Sacramento just won the 27, but that's 4.
What about Detroit?
Detroit has not. That's 5.
And let's say, I can't think of anybody else. New Orleans.
6.
Minnesota.
7.
Hmm. God, just that many bad teams. I can't think of anybody else. What are the other ones?
Okay. Orlando,
Yeah, Orlando.
Washington,
Washington.
Phoenix.
Phoenix. God, I thought Phoenix was better than that.
23 and 50. 23 and 50. Yeah. So that's also amazing there too, because I think their streak is kind of was like a third of the games actually, and then just to say that they were able to win like there's those many games in a row in a streak, just like that, and then you got some teams that just have barely won 27 games this season. It's just tough. Wow. I mean, how can you do that, really? But that it is what it is when you got the Heat right there, competing every single year. Now, looking also at the playoff races too, we were still thinking that maybe the Lakers were kind of still holding on to the whole thing, but they recently had themselves on a little bit of a bad streak where it seems like the door is still open for some teams. Utah is still half game behind. Dallas is still 1.5 behind. Portland is still pretty decent, but they're 3 behind. We almost were saying that the Lakers were going to get the 8 seed.
Your Dallas Mavericks are actually in the hunt.
Yes.
Now that loss against Indiana,
man,
but they are in the hunt. And realistically, the playoff streak you guys got still lives.
Right.
How do you rate you guys' chances?
I think I want to go ahead and say that we have I'll say that we probably have a 25% chance of probably making it, because it really depends on the Lakers. It really depends, can they get hot and at the right time, or do they slump? I really feel like that we can surpass Utah. There's nothing too impressive about them. I think Dallas is starting to catch their stride a little bit and get ready to get to that playoff push. Here's the other thing, though, too. I sure would hate to be the number 1 seed in the West, really, because I think if you're the number 2 seed, you're probably going to get yourself a little bit of an easier matchup. you're the 1 seed, and right now that's San Antonio. You're either going to be playing against the Lakers or Dallas. And you're going to play against a Laker team that had, I mean, you just like to pick your poison in this one here. You're either going to hope that you play against the Lakers that have Kobe, Dwight, Nash, and Gasol, or you're going to play against Dallas, which has Dirk, Vince Carter doing pretty well as a sixth man, and a pretty and OJ Mayo. Pick your poison. So, if you're San Antonio, who would you rather face against?
I'm San Antonio. I want the Jazz because I smoked the Jazz last year like it was nothing.
Yes,
roasted them. So I want the Jazz. Don't want the Lakers. I think the Lakers are the scariest team for the Spurs to play first round because they play the slow half-court game that fits the playoff style more. And sometimes the Lakers and Spurs, they have their rivalry and they can get under the Spurs again. I mean, let's think about it. Kobe Bryant and Tim Duncan. They've had some battles.
Yes.
I mean, we go back to those Laker titles when they were owning the Spurs.
Yes.
And then the Spurs shook back the year after that with the .4. I mean, no. .4 happened.
.4 happened after the Spurs beat them.
Okay. .4 happened after the Spurs beat them for the title. So, you know, there's a lot of blood between these two teams. And Kobe is like the last piece, you know, from those days. But Tim Duncan, he knows. Ginobili felt some of it. Parker has been there for some of it.
Yes.
So, you know, there's a lot of bad blood. I think the Lakers would match up well against the Spurs. Dallas is scary too, but I don't think they can beat the Spurs in a 7-game series. I think they can take it to 7 games.
I think so too.
But I don't think they can beat them in 7 games.
I really think so too. And you also got to know there too that the Spurs and Dallas really have a pretty decent rivalry themselves because you got two of the better power forwards in the game, probably of all time, with Dirk against Duncan, which seen wars. But this season, really, San Antonio swept Dallas, and we would just really have to see here. Could Dallas? I don't know if Dallas could win the playoff series, but could they make it a series? Yes, I think so. So that's all going to be interesting to see as well. I do agree with you. I would rather hope that Utah probably could just, if I'm San Antonio, I would hope that Utah can just be like miraculously just keep things together, not succumb under the playoff pressure, get the 8 seed so I could beat them, and then I could worry about playing against Denver and Memphis. So that's that one thing right there too. If you're Oklahoma City, which also has a chance of getting to that 1 seed, I really think if you're Oklahoma City, it doesn't matter who I'm going to play against because I feel like that I can beat any team that you're going to put out there. If you put Utah out there, it's probably going to be embarrassment. If you put the Lakers or Dallas out there, I think Oklahoma City will beat them no matter what. So that's going to be one thing too. Now, also looking at right now, how the playoffs would be if the season were to end right now. We still have about 3 more weeks to go. Pulling it up right now, you still got your Miami-Milwaukee series, which we said before, that was not going to go too well. Indiana and Boston, New York and Atlanta now, which that's going to be an interesting thing. And here's the thing here about those two. They've only played against each other once, but they'll play against each other twice in April. If they have a series against each other, who do you think is going to take that one? New York or Atlanta?
I'll go with New York. But Atlanta is a team that I think a lot of people have under the radar. I mean, Al Horford's had a good season. T has stepped up tremendously as their starter. Josh Smith is still Josh Smith. I mean, granted, some of his numbers have dipped, but he's still an all-star capable player. I think they have a good shot at making things interesting. Will they beat New York? I'm not sure, but I think it could go 7 games.
Yes, I think so too. Because, like you said, Atlanta's Atlanta's really, I mean, not too many people talk about Atlanta, but Atlanta's
They
still
have a
pretty
solid
good.
season.
They still have a solid season. They're 40-32.
Right.
So they're nothing to sneeze at.
No, that's good enough to get the playoffs in the
Yes,
West.
yes. So the Knicks aren't bad, but the one thing I would always be concerned about the Knicks is inconsistency.
Inconsistency. They rely too much on 3-pointers,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sold on them. People had them told as heat beaters early in the season. I don't think they're capable of it.
Nah, I don't think so either. I really think the only thing that really can beat Miami is just them themselves, and as you can already see, Chicago. Chicago has a chance, and maybe Boston might have a chance too, given the playoffs. But there you go on that one. And in the East right now, we would have a Brooklyn and Chicago matchup.
That would be. I think Chicago could get past Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be the first round upset, if you want to say.
Yeah.
Not really, but I think Chicago could beat Brooklyn. I think it would go 6. I just think Brooklyn. I question Brooklyn's toughness sometimes, even though they have Gerald Wallace and Reggie Evans, who are two tough guys.
Mm-hmm.
I just question their toughness sometimes. I don't know. That series has a lot going on right there. A lot going on. It could go either way.
I'm probably going to go ahead and say the Bulls too. Both of these games are probably going to be a little bit more of a defensive-minded one. It's going to be low scoring because...
Oh, it's going to be some ugly games.
Oh, yeah.
I can see 2 games in the 60s, probably.
Oh, yes.
If Darren Williams or Joe Johnson aren't carrying the load, I mean, you have Lopez who can score points too, but I think I'm going to cancel him out due to Noah and Boozer probably containing him in the post.
Mm-hmm.
But if Joe Johnson or Darren Williams are getting hot, there's going to be some ugly games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sold on that series being kind of defensive, but I give the edge to Chicago.
Yeah, I got to give it to Chicago too. Playoff experience.
Yeah,
they've been there.
Right.
And like you said, you're gonna have Noah back again. Rose is gonna be the wild card, but I would advise him not to come back for this one. It's gonna be Chicago. It's gonna be Chicago. Still looking at the West, it looks like the same playoff matchups that we had, as we already had mentioned before. San Antonio and the Lakers, Oklahoma City and Houston. Right now, it looks like the 3, 6, and 4, 5 matchups are the ones that are kind of changing up a little bit. Right now, we would have the Clippers against Golden State.
I'm gonna go with. I gotta go. That's tricky.
Warriors have a 3-1 lead in this series this year.
I'm going with the. I hate this, but I'm going with the Clippers. I think they just have a little bit too much depth for Golden State. I can see it going 7 games though.
Yeah. 7 games. I'll be the one to go ahead and say Golden State goes to the next round if this happens. I'll be the one that probably go ahead and say that. It really depends on, can the Clippers, how does the playoffs handle it for them too. The other thing is though for Golden State is I really would question can they force the Clippers to go into a little bit of a half court game, because if they can do that, Golden State got it. But if it gets to be a shootout, I think Golden State has it too. But you're given the chance though for the Clippers to do some things as well. So that's also going to be another thing.
I think it's going to be a lot like that Memphis series that the Clippers had last year.
Right. And funny that you do mention Memphis, because this is actually going to be the next matchup right now. Denver-Memphis.
Man, we talked about this last week, and I think I'll have to give the nod right now. Probably this is going to Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I just think Denver's a little bit deeper. I think it's going to go 7.
Mm-hmm.
Got to go 7. This is like the small market Super Bowl. I mean, like the finals right here.
Yes.
You have 2 small market teams.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis has 2 stars, you can say, in
right.
in Gasol and Randolph.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be crazy. I got to give to Denver right now. I think Denver's a little bit deeper, and I think they can put up points. But at the same time, you have to look at the fact that Memphis is a great defensive team with a huge post presence.
Right.
Who you got winning it?
I do not want to see any one of these teams go out in the first round, but if this matchup happens, obviously that has to be the case. I'll go ahead and say Denver, and that'll probably be in a 7-game series because I think both of these teams are going to. It's going to be interesting to see the contrasting styles. Of course, you got Memphis, who's going to play defense very well, but then you got Denver, who's shown that they can play a little defense too. But they're more of a free-flowing team. So I'll go ahead and probably say Denver. I'll say Denver because I really want to see George Karl do something in probably because who knows, it might be his years are probably going to go down. He might retire sometime soon. I really want to see him get a decent chance of making it out of the first round. And probably making a good run into the playoffs. So that's all going to be interesting there. Like we said also about some of these teams here, you also still got Utah, Dallas, and Portland that are still looking out here. Also, the interesting thing would be who's going to make it into who's probably going to get the ping pong balls as far as the number 1 pick in the draft too. So that's all going to be interesting as well. Some pretty good games tonight. Looking at it as well. Let's see, because we got Atlanta and Boston, which that could be a playoff matchup. Houston and Memphis. Miami tries to start another streak. They're playing against New Orleans. I feel bad for New Orleans right now because that's gonna be a winnable one there. Clippers and San Antonio. Brooklyn and Denver. And a pretty interesting matchup between the two teams of the 8 seed, Utah and Portland. So those are going to be nice matchups there too. We also got some good matchups on the weekend, Chicago and Dallas. Of course, Miami and San Antonio, which could be also a finals matchup preview. Boston and New York on Sunday. You also got Portland and Golden State, and Brooklyn and Utah, OKC and Milwaukee. So Clippers and Houston as well. So those are all going to be pretty interesting matchups as well. So we can't wait to see what's going to happen there. As far as the some other news here about the NBA. Can't see any really right now. We'll just go ahead and take ourselves another 30-second break, and we'll go ahead and talk about
little NFL
news. Go ahead and do that right now. A lot of stuff is happening here. The draft is coming up. Go ahead and take ourselves a 30-second break. This is the Gafford and Brown Show. All right, we're right back with the Gafford and Brown Show. We were just looking at a little bit of the things here right now coming to the NFL. And looks like right now we got ourselves, again, the landscape is starting to change up here a little bit because you got yourself some interesting things here that are happening. But let's start off right now with the Packers are saying that they're going to try to give Aaron Rodgers a big-time contract, and they're actually going to try to top the contract that the Ravens gave to Joe Flacco.
Oh God! This is the market value of the NFL. This is going. What was the point of even having a lockout? That's almost my question. Because we had a lockout. And the possibility of losing games was on the table.
Yes.
We kept going through all this stuff, but now it's crazy because now we have these quarterbacks getting these ridiculous deals. Will you say it started with Brady? Brady's deal was pretty huge.
Yeah.
After Brady's deal came, Vic got the $100 million.
Yeah.
After Vic's $100 million, We got the Drew Brees deal,
Mhm.
which broke the bank, and now we have
Flacco's.
Flacco,
Yeah.
and soon to be Aaron Rodgers.
Hmm.
So I mean, just it's getting crazy now because what's next?
Hmm. And there are reports here that are saying that, he probably going to be the highest paid player in NFL history. And it looks like right now, I'm looking at CBS Sports, this blog here, and it says that it could be a matter of time that Aaron Rodgers could make $25 million a year. We're pretty darn close to it. So that's gonna be one of the situations to really keep an eye on, because the crazy thing is, I've read somewhere before, a lot of these people a lot of the players that get these $1 million contracts, they don't see all of the $1 million.
No.
Because they restructure it, they try to help out their team and all that stuff. The
Tom
other
Brady.
thing, yeah, Tom Brady. Tom Brady's done it before. We said about Vic, he had to restructure the contract a little bit. Peyton Manning, I think he got all of his money, but he did some restructuring a little bit too, just to keep certain guys as well. So that's also another thing. When you get those type of contracts, though, and it's like when you're trying to chop these players, now it gets to be the point of the thing here, or you're kind of handcuffing the team in a way. You're kind of handcuffing. Of course, you know that the players do deserve that amount of money, but then again, it kind of also makes your team a little bit weaker. Look at the Ravens. Look at what happened to the Ravens this year.
And the thing is that the team's probably falling apart. It seems,
Mhm. And which is also interesting too that we were talking about it, because they lost a lot of players. They lost Ed Reed to the Texans, which I feel like that's a good pickup as well for them, because they really needed that guy. They kind of got back. They kind of bounced back by getting your boy Elvis Dumervil though too.
Yeah, Baltimore made a good pickup in that. I don't knock them for that, and the whole paperwork fiasco
Mhm.
what led to him going there. That's a solid move, but it's still, he's 29, I believe. He's
Mhm.
getting older. They're slowly but surely trying to, put some pieces together.
Right.
They've lost a lot though.
Yes.
And you have to look at the Flacco deal being like the catalyst of this loss.
Mhm. And to say that they really bounced back nicely, yeah, a little bit, but this was a big move. They really needed a guy like Dumervil. However, are the Broncos losing something by not having Dumervil on their team this year? Nah, not at all. Because I really think that this makes Von Miller now going to be the defensive player to really watch for on this team, because slowly but surely is going to turn to his unit pretty much. And because right now you look at him, he's pretty much one of the better young stars in the game right now. So there you go in that case. Another thing that we're also trying to look at is something that's actually happened to one of the other quarterbacks, Carson Palmer. He's thinking about the Raiders want him to restructure his contract. He doesn't want to restructure his contract. Looks like he could be given the boot from the Raiders. First question I have for you is, where do you, if they do give him the boot, where do you think that Carson Palmer is going to end up at?
I can see him in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona needs a big arm. They need somebody that can throw the ball downfield to,
Mm-hmm.
their core receivers, leading Fitzgerald, Earlington said, Michael Floyd. I can see him going to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo, I think Buffalo might take their chances in the draft.
Right.
But who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think he's out of Oakland. And this opens the door for Terrell Pryor.
Yes.
Do you believe Terrell Pryor should get a chance to start, or do you think they should draft a quarterback and let them compete?
I honestly think that you're kind of in the position where you're gonna have to really need to see what he can do. I think they gave him a start in the last game of the season last year, but now you get a chance to see what he can do. You took him in the supplemental draft, so which means you forfeited the right to have a draft pick in 2012 just to get this guy, because you felt like that he was pretty good. The one thing is, I don't know if he's that amazing or not. That's gonna be that's yet to be seen. But you got to give the guy a tryout. You have to give the guy a tryout, because if not, you're gonna be wondering what if, and he could come out there and burn your team. And again, you give the guy a tryout, he's not doing a good job. set your team back a couple of years. That's kind of one of the risks that you got to take, though.
Yeah, and with the whole zone read thing going on, I think they could work if they adopted this system with him.
Right. Because he has been a mobile guy, and that's one of the reasons why Ohio State decided to go ahead and take him in the. They decided to go ahead and take him, and that's why they won the recruiting war against teams like Penn State in order to try to get him as well. I think he was, if not one of the, not the top recruit, I think he was one of the top, one of the guys that was up there. The one thing that he really has to work on is his maturity too, because we've seen him in Ohio State where his maturity has been kind of spotty at best. So, that's also going to be one thing to really look at and monitor in the whole situation too. Now, another player that everybody's thinking about here, about trying to get, since we're on the topic of contract extensions, Tony Romo. They're thinking about him trying to get one with the Dallas Cowboys as well. And if they do, it frees up some money. And it looks like that he cannot be franchise tagged in 2014. So that's going to be interesting to do. If you're the Cowboys, you think would you go ahead give him that extension or what?
Hell no! Romo no extension? Give Romo a coupon, a gift card. No. See, this is the thing with Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones had this buddy complex. If you're friends with Jerry Jones, you're friends with Jerry Jones for life. And you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Because as we saw with Barry Switzer, who inherited a good deal, got a ring, and stayed around a little too long. If Jerry Jones likes you, you're going to be around for a little bit.
Right.
And this is exactly what's going on with Romo. Romo, great regular season guy.
Right.
Puts up solid numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dude can throw the ball. Sometimes to the other team, but he can throw the ball. And we're seeing so much, being made out of, Romo's this type of guy. He's a leader, this, that. Romo's a great quarterback. Can be a great quarterback. Can be better than great. But when time comes, when the pressure comes, when it's time to put up a shut up, Romo is quiet.
That's the one thing I have to agree with you on that one, Rob, because like we said before on the show, we've had times where Romo, you think that the teams could turn around, doesn't happen. So that's all going to be one of those things too. I think that if he wants an extension, he's going to have to earn it. But the problem is the Cowboys in the situation right now where they don't have any money to really sign anybody in there too, because I think they had they had Michael Huff come in for a look in, and then he turns out to go to the Ravens. So you're kind of making the options right here. Do I give him the extension or not? Or what do I do here? So that's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen there. So another thing, since we're going to stay on the topic of the Cowboys here, Dez Bryant says he wants to be the first 2,000-yard receiver in the league. He's kind of gotten to a little bit of the ire of people like Skip Bayless, who thought he was selfish, where Dez Bryant basically shot back at Skip. But let me ask you this, though. Do you commend him on his idea of the goal right there? And do you think he can do it?
No, he can't do it.
Okay.
He has the potential and talent to, but right now, I just don't think he can do it because we've seen his health be kind of an issue. He's now granted he's battled through some injuries. That finger injury, he's a warrior. But I just don't see it happening next season. Maybe one day, but if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Calvin Johnson.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
Yes, and I got to say that too, because if let's just look at it, let's just call it for what it is here. You have to have you have to be on a team which is a little bit more of a pass first team. And so I really think that the Cowboys, their main goal is they really want to try to get DeMarco Murray, give him some touches in there too, because he's a pretty good running back when he's healthy. Can he do it? I don't think he can do it. I really don't think he can do it this year. Honestly, maybe not this year, maybe in the future. But yeah, that's that. But I do commend him for having those goals. And really, it's not selfish, to be honest with you. Once again, you guys think about this. Some people say stuff just to even get some ratings and all that. So that's one of those things too. So yeah. I really have to say that as well. Now, another thing here too, which has gotten a lot of news on online as well. There had been a report that one of these days we will see probably an NFL player coming out. And actually, there was one former NFL player that actually did come out, Kwame Harris. He used to play for the Niners. He also used to play for the Raiders. And he tells about him. He actually came out the closet, I think just recently this week. How many players do you think that there's going to be one of these players that maybe in the future, probably like, that may be in the NFL? You think they're going to get a chance to, do that? And how will they be received?
Honestly, I gotta be frank with you, Lamar, about this situation. I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a society where, well, particularly the NFL is a very macho society.
Exactly.
And there's the conception. I mean, there's the idea that being gay makes you less of a man.
Mm-hmm.
And in the NFL, I mean, like I said, we also got to realize that the NFL, whether we want to admit it or not, is a very Christian-based league. I mean, you watch the game, player score a touchdown.
Yeah.
He's pointing up.
He's pointing up, kneeling down. Stuff like
prayer,
that, T-bowing, all that.
Yeah, players hurt. There's prayer. There's prayer before the game, there's prayer after the game. Now, one thing we know about Christianity is that it technically doesn't. Well, there are points that Scripture to where homosexuality is condemned. There are stories like Sodom and Gomorrah, what have you. Now, with that mixed with the macho part, I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon because there's going to be too much stigma. There's going to be too much scrutiny. There's going to be too much going on there with that. And I don't think we've reached a point of maturity and acceptance in the NFL to allow that to go on. And I just think it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the same thing too, because looking at it, and you said it on those points as well too, you're still going to have some of these players that are not going to be willing to accept it. Somebody asked, remember the Super Bowl, Chris Culliver, his comments were kind of a little bit skating and all that stuff, but you're going to have some of the players that are going to accept it, but then again, you're also going to have some of the players that are not going to accept it. And the other thing is, thinking about like the locker room. I mean, who's going to rally behind that person? Is it if it's a low profile name, I don't know how would he be received. If it's a high profile name, now you got yourself a question. I mean, will people have a little bit of a different opinion on him? Will people not have a different opinion on him? And that's going to be one of those things here about the gray area about that too. That we're going to see what's going to happen one of these days, but probably not at this point in the time. They're probably not going to come out probably until their career's over with. But that is a decent thing right there to talk about there.
It is, and I just think that I just don't see it happening because like the NFL is just so macho. Then we have all this, the Christianity factor. I just don't see it happening anytime soon.
Exactly.
But who knows? Maybe we might be wrong, and maybe one day there'll be something. It would take a big star.
It would.
it would take a huge star. I don't want to put this on Rito. Granted, that he might not be at all, but if someone like Aaron Rodgers came out and said,
Right.
then maybe that will
Right.
open up, things like that. But it will be a hell of a road.
And I completely understand what you're trying to say.
Right.
You're giving an example and
Right,
all that
right.
stuff. I understand.
Right.
And we're not saying that he is. We're not saying that he is. Okay. Okay. Just letting y'all know that if anybody just wants to come back and the backlash at us, we're not saying he is. But good example right there. That's just going to be the one thing too, and just to really look at it. And it's going to be one thing that we're again, like all these other situations, we're going to monitor about what's going to happen about this. So that's going to be another thing. Also going into this, going away from the subject too, looking at the draft as well. Manti Te'o improved his time in the 40-yard dash. He ran at the combine a 4.8, I think a 4.80 at the 4.82 in the combine, but he had his pro day at Notre Dame where he ran a 4.71, and looks like he could pretty much put himself back there into the first round of the draft in the late first round, late first round of the draft. Do you think that 40 time did a lot for him, or would you really make a big deal?
I think it's not to make a deal out of it at all. I think there's still questions about his character, questions about his decision making, questions about his big game performance. There's a lot of question marks still. I don't think that 40 time helped at all.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw him run the 40 already, so I mean, what? No. I'm not sold on it.
Once again, and we had said this before about the 40 times, and we said this about the 40 times, the bench pressing, all that stuff. Most of it is kind of like for show. Like, it does show to everybody, the strength, does show speed and all that stuff, but you never really know about what a player can do until you really see game speed and all that stuff too. So, running a 40 in a straight line is one thing, and doing it without pads is one thing too. But what can he do with pads? There's a ball that's right there. That if he's chasing the ball or having the ball in his hand, and also the other thing too, what can he do with the adrenaline pumping? That's another thing too. So that would be pretty interesting to see too. But I don't think it really does a lot for his draft stock. I think he's still going to be a late first rounder or a mid second rounder at best. So we'll see what's going to happen in that one too. So we're going to go ahead and take ourselves another break, and we're pretty much going to talk about a few more other things that are happening along in the sports world. We have ourselves actually a pretty interesting thing that's happening in the wrestling world. We also got WrestleMania coming up as well. Yeah. We gotta talk about that most definitely. This is the Gafford and Brown Show. We'll be right back.
It's okay to splurge, it's not real, boy.
All right, we're right back with the show here. We're talking about a little bit of the wrestling world, and the wrestling world kind of had itself a little bit of a loss earlier today, and Rob had brought it up to my attention before the show. Reed Flair, if you don't know, he is the son of former wrestling star Ric Flair, not the 16-time champion Nature Boy Ric Flair. Woo! Is reportedly died at 24 years old, and our condolences go out to him. It says that he was found dead after his return from Japan. Sad news right there about that, and you can just only imagine what the family is grieving through at this point in time. So we'll just go ahead also and go to a talk about here the WrestleMania lineup, and it looks like right now we got ourselves now 10 matches here. Of course, we've got The Rock and John Cena. That matchup is going to be there. Alberto Del Rio is placing against Jack Swagger for the World Heavyweight Championship. Undertaker against CM Punk. Can CM Punk try to break the streak? Sheamus, Randy Orton, The Big Show face against The Shield. Ryback and Mark Henry, which should be a powerful matchup. against Ryback. And that one, Team Hell No, Kane and Daniel Bryan against Dolph Ziggler and Big E Langston. I never heard of him, but can you tell me a little bit about him?
Dope. Kate Langston? Biggie Langston?
Biggie Langston? Oh.
Is that the guy you want to know more about?
Yeah, probably a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know much about him. I know he's from developmental.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, he's huge.
Uh-huh.
He's known more for his bench press than his wrestling ability. Has a bright future, but we haven't really seen him wrestle yet.
Mm-hmm.
This will really be his first match, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna see what he has to offer.
Also looking at a little bit of the matches too. Brock Lesnar against Triple H, the matchup where Triple H's career is on the line. Chris Jericho against Fandango,
which is crazy because this will be his first match. So this guy must be really good.
Yes.
His real name was, his former wrestling name is Johnny Curtis. I hear great things about him in the indies. I've never seen him wrestle. I haven't seen the indie footage, but I hear he's very talented. But they must have a lot of faith in this guy to give him his first match at WrestleMania versus Chris Jericho.
Oh man, that's gonna be interesting to see. We're gonna really see how the measuring stick is there. Wade Barrett against the Biz for the Intercontinental Championship, and we also got Brodus Clay, Tenzai, and the Dancers of Brodus Clay, the Funkadactyls.
That might be I think that might be one of those
dark matches.
Yeah.
Okay. Against the Rose Scholars and the Bella Twins.
Sad. Sandow deserves better.
Mm-hmm.
But
now, looking at the lineup so far, and we don't know if there are going to be more matches that could happen. What do you think about the slate here that WrestleMania is going to give to us?
It's a solid card.
Mm-hmm.
A solid card. I would say. It's sad that 3 of the biggest matches we've all seen before.
Yes.
We saw Rock versus John Cena last year.
Mm-hmm.
We saw Triple H versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam,
mm-hmm.
and we've seen CM Punk versus Taker before, but not on this biggest stage.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm more excited for Taker and Punk because
mm-hmm.
this is a new dynamic of their feud. Like, we've never seen when Punk went against Taker a couple years ago. It was Punk as a face. Well, he was a heel, but he wasn't as big as he is now.
Right.
And we get to see if he can stop the streak, which he probably won't,
mm-hmm.
because the streak is bigger than the Undertaker at this point.
Right.
But it's something to see. I'm excited for that match. I'm excited to see the tag match as well, because I think Ziggler is one of those guys that he's going to put on a good match, and he also has the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Mm-hmm.
So, is he going to cash in at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Or is he going to wait afterwards? Because he's been holding on to that briefcase for a while now.
Right. And this would be the perfect time to really cash that in right now. I mean, this would be the perfect time. So, this slate, I'd say it's okay. It's not Attitude Era, like you got all the matchups from probably top to bottom, but the slate is pretty good. I mean, we're gonna see what happens with Rock and John Cena, but we've seen it before.
Yeah. Well, do you want to give predictions now, or say that for next week?
We'll probably say that for next week.
Okay. Rock versus Cena is gonna be a solid match.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what we like to call the smart marks
mm-hmm.
in the internet wrestling community kind of complained about the match last year.
Mm-hmm.
They said it was choppy. Rock got winded. He was out of breath.
Mm-hmm.
John Cena carried him. Such and such. But I mean, this is a guy that's been going from wrestling full time for like 7 years. Give him a break. But
of course,
at the same time, I think it's going to be a solid match.
Yes.
It's going to be the main event.
Oh yeah, it's got to be. It has to be. So, looking at that, and of course, we're going to continue to give you your wrestling news as well too. Some more things that are happening also in the sports world today. Looks like some baseball players are getting paid a lot of money as well.
Verlander
and Buster Posey.
Oof. Breaking the bank.
Yes. Can I give $10, please, for somebody? I just want to.
Now, do you think both guys worth all the money?
Posey, yes, because he is pretty much one of the young stars in this league right now, and to see him doing pretty well um, at this early and the stage, and also being a catcher. That's another good thing right there. He's making he actually just he has agreed to a 9-year, $167 million contract. So he's worth it, and I think Verlander's actually worth it too. He's $180 million, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's worth it. He's really worth it. He's one of the best pitchers that's in the game right now. And I think he won the Cy Young and the MVP award. Not last year. I think it was like 11. So, those two guys are really worth it. What do you think, Rob?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think Verlander's worth the money because we just saw Detroit, not too long ago in the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Buster Posey, I think he's worth it. I think they were both, respectful deals. I mean, it's a lot of money, but hey,
Mm-hmm.
these teams have both been World Series,
Right.
So it's justified.
Right. Now we're also looking at some more of the money aspect too, and there's a report here that's saying here, Alex Rodriguez, he makes more money than Houston Astros, the whole team,
Which is believable.
which is really believable in that case because I think the Astros payroll, don't quote me on this one here, but it's around $25 million. And we all know that A-Rod is pretty much getting paid about, I think it's like 25 to 30 somewhere.
It's
It's
got
to
to
be
since he's been
right over there.
Majors.
Right. So, and that's one thing. And like I said, I'm not surprised about it too. The way that his body is starting to break down, though, that's going to be a little bit of a case.
We don't know.
But we really don't know, and it's going to be also interesting to see what do the Yankees do with him, because it seems like right now they kind of don't want him right now at this point, and that's going to be interesting. Some more of the news here. Oh yeah, we're right there next to the season here. Would you think we could give a little bit of prediction too?
About baseball, I think we hold off on that till opening day.
Okay.
But I'm excited for the season.
Oh yeah,
I'm a Cubs fan at heart. But the crazy thing about it, Rookie of the Year made me a Cubs fan.
Oh man,
that made me a Cubs fan. Since that movie, I kind of been riding with the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
It's been long. It's been hard. I can't speak for a lot of. I know there's some Cubs fans out there.
Right.
Been through it all.
Oh man.
I mean, the most I've been through was Bartman.
Yes.
In the Sosa era, but hey, you can only look up.
I have to say that the Cubs were probably one of my favorite teams too, because I can just remember back in the day where my grandma used to watch a lot of baseball games, and the Cubs were one of the teams that we actually got a lot. Cubs and the Braves, and actually, so the Cubs have been a little bit of a soft spot in my heart since then. The Braves have been my team ever since, because of course everybody in the '90s, if you weren't really a Braves fan, then especially if you was being from the South and stuff too, you were a Braves fan, man. You were like, it just was amazing, and especially with that streak. I've also liked the Rangers a little bit too. I think they're a little bit of my American League team. But yeah, I mean that's very impressive too. I want to say really, I think Rookie of the Year was probably one of my favorite all-time movies. And since we're actually talking about movies here too, the new movie 42 is coming out. Gotta see it.
That's the thing about baseball. Makes some of the great. It's one of the sports that makes some of the great sports movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, you have some great football movies,
right?
The Titans, Wildcats, Any Given Sunday.
All right.
But baseball, man, you have Field of Dreams,
yes,
Rookie of the Year, Major League,
Angels in
Outfield.
Yeah.
42 now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, A League of Their Own.
Yeah.
Just a lot of classic baseball movies.
And that's going to be one of the movies that I really have to see. Like, depending on it. Whichever day I'm off of work, the first day I'm off, I'm gonna see it.
Right.
I mean, if it's opening day, I'm seeing it. If it's not opening day, then hey, I don't care. I'm seeing it. I'm going there one of these days. I hope somebody else would. I hope a lot of people would love to see it too, because by the looking of it, it's a great movie. It's going to tell Jackie Robinson's career, his life, and in a grand stage. And looking at the trailers and looking at the commercials for it, it's just been amazing. You got a lot of people that have had some high remarks about it. So we're going to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
Mhm.
I got to be honest with you. Jackie Robinson, one of those guys. We all know the the stories,
Mhm.
but see it on film, I think it's going to be epic. It's going to be one of those things that, man, it's something to take the kids to go see.
Right.
Younger generations get a better understanding of just the struggle of how we got here.
Mhm.
And also, I think we should one day get this. I know Spike Lee has criticism about this movie, but I would like for him issue the challenge to him to make another movie where we get to see the roots before Jackie Robinson. We get to see the Negro Leagues
Mhm.
and the guys that paved the way for
Oh,
that,
definitely.
which paved the way for Jackie Robinson.
Mhm.
So, there's room for a lot more.
There
But this
is
is the
room.
first step.
This really is, and because we've had even a lot of people from even different sports that have had this a lot to say about the movie, and I think Blake Griffin has even mentioned it too, where he gave thanks a little bit too, because not just Jackie Robinson did not just only um, do a whole lot for the baseball community for making young black African Americans play the game of baseball, but it was also other sports too. You know, you might have had football, basketball. I mean, it was through him the way that he performed at a Hall of Fame level and all that, and to see him do that is just once again it's just remarkable and all that stuff. I would love to see a Negro Leagues movie though too. I would love to see that. And one of these days, I would love to go to the museum in Kansas City. I would love to see that because, I mean, there are a lot of things that we have not known and I don't think the general public knows about that really would need to be brought out to light too. So that's got to be one thing as well. Um, let's see. Some more news here that we're looking at real quick. Let's see here. Looks like we got Ty Lawson here. He's going to be out for the game tonight. He has a plantar fascia injury. So that is to his heel, basically. So he's going to be out for that game. This is going to be one of the players that the Nuggets really need in order to make that run into the playoffs.
Oh yeah, one of the best point guards in the league.
But I think that he's going to be healthy in time and all. Here, looking at some more things here. Here, the Pittsburgh Penguins, they blanked the Winnipeg Jets. They got themselves a 14th consecutive win. It's like everybody's just having streaks galore out here.
Right.
So that's gonna be one. That's another thing here too. I also read a little bit of a story here about to go a little bit of a local aspect. I read a story where I want to say I think it was like southeastern Louisiana. They're a little bit in some hot water right now because they had 137 players that should have been ineligible between 2005 and 2010. And so that's going to be interesting right there. It says they reported it used 137 ineligible players. Oh
Yikes.
boy, I wonder what's going to happen, and I hope the blow here is not going to be too much. Because I hope the blow is not. And it says most of the violations occurred between 2005 and 2007. So it says they will impose penalties such as reducing scholarships, vacating victories, and imposing a 2-year probationary period on itself. This is from ESPN. While awaiting the NCAA's review of the case. So it's gonna be interesting to see right here what's going to happen. And once again, it's just that thing again of being an AD, I guess.
It is a job. It is a job in today's sports world because you have so much going on, and you want to make a good program,
Mm-hmm.
but you also have to go by the rules.
Rules, exactly, and it's just like you just have to. The way the rules are, sure, it might be less, but then again, you've seen people that have done it the right way here. Coach K, of course, with Duke basketball, um, they've done it the right way a whole lot of times before. You got you got some football programs that have actually done it the right way too, and some baseball programs that have done it the right way. There are teams that can still do it the right way, and yet they can still get some good time success. So that's also going to be one thing as well.
Right.
Let's see. I see also Tyrann Matthew. He's been making his draft visits to so many different teams. So we're gonna see who's gonna take him on there. And pretty much that is about it for right now. Once again, here. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
Uh, Pretty much, man. Just another great show, another great day. Just keep listening, keep looking forward to the show. Participation from you guys is great because you make us better. Next week, WrestleMania pre-show. We're gonna talk about a lot of baseball, a lot of wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of college basketball. Because by then,
Yes.
everyone's bracket will suck. I'm sure you'll be ready to play. And just guys have a great Easter weekend.
And I'll go ahead and end it out with this here, just talking about the challenge right now. Big props to Raymond Swally and Evan Barnes as well. They're leading our challenge right now with 440 points. Right now, I think that's like in the 50th percentile. So you could tell that there's not too many people that have done too well in the tournament, but these two guys have done exceptionally well right now. Crazy thing is here, the two guys that issued the challenge are last place.
Yeah. Try to be risk takers. That's what we tried to do. It didn't work out.
It is, but the important thing is though is all in fun.
Yeah,
It is
and we
all
want you
fun.
guys to win. We don't want to win.
And we don't really want to win it either.
Yeah, we're doing this for y'all.
Exactly, and we hope to have so many of these promotionals once again before in the season. We might try to do that. Who knows? With the basketball, when the NBA playoffs starts and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens here. But once again, thank you very much for listening, and also thank you very much for participating in a whole lot of stuff. We hope to continue to get some more listeners, and hope to continue to get some more things along the way. So we'll go ahead and just call it a wraps for this show here, and pretty much when's gonna be our next show, Rob?
Let's shoot for Monday.
Monday. I think that'll work for me too. Yeah, we'll try to hit on that one on Monday. We might try to do one show. We might have two shows. Who knows? We've been doing it a little bit lately, too. Also, want to just tell you guys here, Happy Easter as well, and have yourself a very fun time this Easter. Stay safe as well. So, I'm Lamar Gafford.
I'm Robert Brown,
and that concludes another show. Episode 20 will be on Monday.